The rain hammered against the hospital windows as 12-year-old Marcus Chen sat beside his mother's bed, holding her hand. 3 weeks had passed since the delivery truck ran the red light, T-boning their sedan and changing everything. His mother, Diana, lay unconscious, her body broken in ways the doctors said were irreversible. Spinal cord damage at C5, C6, the neurologist had explained in that clinical tone doctors use when delivering life sentences. Even if she wakes up, Mrs. Chen will never walk again. Quadriplegia is permanent. But Marcus didn't believe in permanent. He'd read every medical journal the hospital library had, staying up nights studying spinal injuries, experimental treatments, anything that offered hope. His father had left when Marcus was 4, and it had always been just him and his mom. She was his whole world. The truck driver who hit them was Victor Castellano, heir to Castellano Logistics, a shipping empire worth hundreds of millions. Victor had been texting while driving, racing to make a business meeting. The police report confirmed it. But the Castellano family had money, and money had a way of bending reality. 6 months later, Marcus pushed his mother's wheelchair into the downtown courthouse. Diana had finally woken from her coma 3 months prior, but just as the doctors predicted, she couldn't move anything below her neck. She needed round-the-clock care. Their insurance was maxed out. They'd lost their house. Without a settlement, they'd lose everything. The Castellano family attorney, Raymond Burke, was a shark in a $3,000 suit. He'd made a career of making problems disappear for wealthy clients. Across the aisle, Victor Castellano sat looking bored, scrolling through his phone, probably texting again. The hearing was supposed to be a simple settlement conference. The Castellanos had offered $50,000, barely enough to cover 2 months of Diana's care needs, let alone a lifetime of medical expenses and lost wages. Their own lawyer, a tired public defender named Sarah Martinez, did her best. She presented medical bills, expert testimony about future care costs, evidence of Victor's negligence. But Burke dismantled everything with procedural motions and technicalities. Your Honor, Burke said smoothly, my client admits no wrongdoing. The accident occurred during a storm. Visibility was poor. Mrs. Chen's injuries, while tragic, cannot be definitively linked to, that's a lie. Marcus shouted, standing up. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Young man, sit down, Judge Morrison warned, but Marcus couldn't sit. Couldn't stay quiet. He was texting. The police report says so. He destroyed my mom's life, because he couldn't wait 5 minutes to send a message. Bailiff, the judge began. Let go of my mom's case and I'll make you stand, Marcus said, his voice breaking but fierce. He wasn't talking to the judge. He was staring directly at Victor Castellano. I'll make you stand in front of everyone and admit what you did. The courtroom erupted in confused laughter. Even Judge Morrison smiled grimly. Here was a 12-year-old boy, making threats in a courtroom, as if he had any power at all. Son, Burke said with condescending amusement, you're in a court of law. Empty threats won't, it's not a threat, Marcus said quietly. It's a promise. The judge cleared his throat. Mr. Chen, I understand your frustration, but outbursts won't help your mother. Ms. Martinez, control your client's family, or I'll have them removed. The hearing continued, but Marcus had stopped listening. His mind was already somewhere else, on a plan he'd been forming for months. A plan that was crazy. Impossible. But it was all he had left. Marcus had discovered something during his months of research. Not a miracle cure, those didn't exist. But he'd found Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a neuroscientist in Seattle working on experimental spinal cord regeneration using a combination of stem cell therapy, neural implants, and intensive electrical stimulation. The treatment was still in early trials, showing a 60% improvement in motor function for some patients. Not a cure, but a chance. The problem was money. The experimental treatment cost $850,000, and insurance wouldn't cover experimental procedures. So Marcus had done something desperate. He'd entered his mother's case into a medical research contest, the Hartford Foundation Grant for Innovative Rehabilitation Research. It was a long shot among hundreds of applications, but they'd made the top 10 finalists. If they won, they'd receive $1 million for treatment and research. The winner would be decided by a public vote combined with a panel of medical experts. Voting closed in 3 weeks. Marcus had spent every free moment campaigning, creating social media accounts, sharing their story, reaching out to anyone who would listen. His mother didn't know. She'd stopped hoping for miracles after the doctor's pronouncements, but Marcus had learned something else too. Something that could make Victor Castellano stand in the way he'd promised. Marcus wasn't just a grieving son, he was obsessively smart, the kind of kid who taught himself coding at 8 and hacked his school's network at 10 just to prove he could, returning everything unchanged. While his mother recovered, he'd started digging into Victor Castellano's life. What he found was a pattern. The accident that paralyzed Diana wasn't Victor's first. There had been 2 others, both settled quietly out of court, both involving serious injuries, both while Victor was distracted driving. The Castellano family had paid witnesses to change statements, buried police reports under legal motions, used their influence to keep Victor's license active when it should have been revoked. Marcus had found the other victims through public records searches and patient advocacy groups. There was James Rodriguez, a construction worker who'd lost the use of his right arm, and Kelly Patterson, a college student who'd suffered a traumatic brain injury. Both had been pressured into inadequate settlements and signing NDAs. If Marcus could get all three cases in front of the media simultaneously, if he could show the pattern, the Castellanos couldn't hide anymore. Victor would have to stand publicly and face what he'd done. 2 weeks before the grant voting closed, Marcus uploaded a video. It was just him, sitting in their small apartment, with his mother visible in the background, watching TV in her wheelchair. "My name is Marcus Chen," he said to the camera. 6 months ago, Victor Castellano crashed into our car while texting and driving. My mom will never walk again. She was a nurse, she spent her life helping people. Now she can't even feed herself. He paused, letting the weight of it settle. The Castellanos offered us $50,000 to go away. That's less than what Victor spends on his car collection. But this isn't just about us. Victor has done this before, to James Rodriguez, to Kelly Patterson, to who knows how many others. His family uses their money to bury the truth. The video showed the court documents, the police reports, interviews Marcus had recorded with the other victims. I can't make Victor Castellano feel remorse, maybe that's impossible. But I can make him stand publicly and face what he's done. I'm asking anyone watching to share this video. And if you believe my mom deserves a chance, that all his victims deserve justice, please vote for us in the Hartford Foundation grant. The link is below. Marcus, honey, what are you doing? His mother's voice came from off-camera. Making you walk again, Mom, he said, turning to her with tears in his eyes. Whatever it takes. The video went viral. Not just thousands of views, millions. News outlets picked it up. Disability advocates amplified it. The tech community, impressed by Marcus's investigative skills, rallied behind him. #Justice for Diana trended nationwide. The pressure on Castellano logistics became immense. Corporate partners started distancing themselves. Board members demanded answers. And the grant voting, which had been scattered across various candidates, consolidated behind Marcus and Diana's application, but the Castellanos didn't go quietly. They filed a defamation lawsuit against Marcus, a 12-year-old. They claimed harassment, invasion of privacy, that Marcus had hacked confidential records, he hadn't, everything was from public sources, just buried deep. The lawsuit backfired spectacularly. More media attention. More outrage. A legal defense fund raised $200,000 in 48 hours, and then something unexpected happened. Victor Castellano requested a press conference. His lawyers advised against it. His family forbade it. But something had broken in Victor, maybe the weight of finally being seen, of having nowhere to hide. He stood in front of dozens of cameras, looking nothing like the bored, privileged kid from the courtroom. He looked exhausted. Smaller, somehow. I was texting when I hit the Chen family's car, he said, his voice barely steady. I was texting during the other accidents too. I've been running from what I've done, letting my family's money protect me from consequences. But watching that kid, Marcus, fight so hard for his mom while I've never fought for anything in my life, he stopped, collected himself. I can't undo what I did. Mrs. Chen will never walk because of me. But I'm done hiding. I'm personally establishing a $10 million fund for my victims, for their medical care, for their futures. I'm surrendering my driver's license permanently. And I'm pleading guilty to all charges without contest. The press room exploded with questions, but Victor just walked off the stage. Marcus watched the press conference from the hospital room where his mother was undergoing her first round of the experimental treatment. They'd won the Hartford grant by a landslide, and with Victor's additional fund, Diana would have care for life, regardless of whether the treatment worked. He stood, Diana whispered, her voice weak but awed. You made him stand, baby. He did that himself, Mom, Marcus said, squeezing her hand. I just stopped letting him hide. The treatment didn't restore everything. Diana Chen would never be who she was before the accident, the neural damage was too extensive. But after 6 months of intensive therapy, she could move her right arm. Could grip a fork, a pen, Marcus's hand when she squeezed back. It's not a miracle, Dr. Tanaka explained. But it's progress. Real, measurable progress. And her case is advancing our understanding in ways that will help thousands of future patients. Marcus sat in on the research meetings, taking notes, asking questions that sometimes stumped the medical team. He'd decided his future, neuroscience, spinal cord research. He'd spend his life making sure other kids didn't have to fight the way he'd fought. The courtroom had laughed when a 12-year-old promised to make a powerful man stand and answer for his crimes. They'd thought it was impossible. They were wrong. Marcus stood at a podium, invited to speak at a medical research conference about patient advocacy. He was 14 now, already taking college-level courses, already publishing research papers with Dr. Tanaka's team. People told me it was impossible, he said to the audience of doctors, researchers, and advocates. They said a kid couldn't take on a corporation, couldn't change a system designed to protect the powerful, couldn't find hope where doctors had pronounced none existed. But here's what I learned: impossible just means nobody's tried hard enough yet. My mom still can't walk, maybe she never will. But she can hug me now. She can write. She's training to be a patient advocate, helping other families navigate what we went through. Victor Castellano served 6 months in jail for reckless driving causing serious injury. His victim fund has helped 37 families. And the attention brought to distracted driving led to stronger laws in 12 states. None of that brings back what we lost. But it proves that standing up matters. That one voice, even a kid's voice, can make ripples that become waves. In the audience, Diana Chen sat in her wheelchair, her right hand raised in applause, tears streaming down her face. Behind her, Victor Castellano sat quietly, attending the conference as part of his community service requirement. He'd dedicated his trust fund to traffic safety advocacy. He'd never drive again. But he was trying, in his own way, to stand for something better than who he'd been. Marcus caught both their eyes and smiled. The fight wasn't over, it never really was. But for the first time since that rainy night, when everything changed, he felt something like peace. Justice wasn't always swift. Miracles weren't always complete. But impossible was just another word for not yet. And not yet was something Marcus Chen could work with.